Nope, the mic was not on that whole time. Oh my gosh. I couldn't hear myself. So let me start all over again. Thank you for joining this live stream. Just realized, rookie mistake. What I was saying is like, I am trying out a new mic. So just let me know if you can hear me or if it's clear, and that it's okay, at least. So trying a whole new setup here, as a matter of fact. But trying to thank you very much, Hey, sorry. Thanks for joining, man. Good to see you on here. But we are I'm trying to build out these Thursday live streams I was saying before. And we're doing the Sunday live streams as usual. We're doing that every Sunday, no matter what. We're trying to build out this end of the week live stream. And we had a meeting today with the team where we're considering the idea, and I mentioned this on the live stream last Thursday, is that we're going to make this exclusively for Patreon and channel members only. However, like we're kind of in our meeting today, we're kind of rethinking our strategy in respect to doing because we want to focus a lot on our Patreon and the channel memberships, because it really does help to channel and kind of furthers other things that we want to go to take the channel, like different levels that we want to take the channel to, right? And so we think that would be a feasible strategy, focusing a little bit more on building out Patreon. But we're also like, all right, if we're going to do something exclusive for Patreon, we got to bring the value, right? And we got to make sure that we're delivering on that, even if it's like something like $3 or $5 a month, whatever we pay structure that we decide to go with ultimately. I think we're doing $5 a month, as a matter of fact. We want to make sure that we hit and deliver on that value like every single time. And so we were actually considering to do like these standalone podcasts, like, and actually, not that this doesn't take effort, but like that would actually take a lot more effort, and doing research and putting effort into not only researching the subject matters, but also researching the topics that you all would want us to focus on. And also that would also include bringing on guests onto those podcasts. And so we're still toying with it, but no matter what, moving into April, we are going to have a different piece of content that is aside from the weekly podcast that we upload on Saturdays, and then aside from the Sunday live streams that we've been doing and have been consistent with. So this is something that we're toying around with. I'll probably talk to you about it a little bit more. Maybe we'll talk more about it on Sunday and kind of get the feedback. But at the end of the day, we just want to make sure that we're like over delivering on any value that we give and come across. But in the meantime, let me know where everybody's chiming in from. Of course, I like to hear city, state, country. It's kind of cool to always find out which corners of the earth people are coming in from. In regards to the agenda today, we have a few articles that I thought were relevant. Everything from, what would I say? Everything from investing to tourism to the teachers strike. Not really, that sort of thing. But we're kind of all over the place. But I figured it's worth it to bring this sort of thing to the table and to kind of just keep everybody updated, and at least with articles that are pertinent to the mandate of this channel, which of course is pro Jamaica, moving here, investing here, right? So that's the main thing here. And yeah, just want to be more consistent with the Thursdays. Like every Thursday, I want to do it, go a couple of hours, whatever it is, take questions, and there's no real set programming. It's not that Sunday's super structured, but I think if you've been to the Sunday live streams, you kind of already know in a sense what to expect. Sometimes we have guests on, sometimes we have specific topics that we dive in and go really, 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 really deep and spend literally hours. I think the last two Sundays were really, really awesome, and we had some really great guests on. The 2 Sundays ago was my team that came on when we talked about the affordability of housing. Then last Sunday we had, was that the same Sunday? Who did we have last Sunday? I oh no, we had healthcare, right? And then last Sunday, like 3 or 4 days ago, memory's going, we had healthcare, and then we had somebody from Guardian Life. We talked about insurance, health insurance, and also life insurance. And so the feedback that we're getting, that continues to be a topic that people are highly interested in, and understanding healthcare, both the quality and availability in Jamaica. And we have some health experts, specifically doctors, that we're lining up for the next couple of lives to come on and to speak about that. So we're excited about that. And we're also trying to make it not just about Negril, because I know a lot of people are interested in other parts of the country, and not like other people are interested in moving to other parts of the country, not just Negril, although we'd love to have you here. But we want to also compare apples to apples in terms of not only healthcare, but also living, lifestyle opportunities. And we're for sure, one of the mandates is to kind of broaden our horizons in terms of our focus on different parts of the island. So let's hop over to the comments here, see where everybody is chiming in from. Yeah, sorry, my mic was muted earlier. But happy Thursday, Joy. Nice to see you. Faye, blessings to you as well. Miss Perfectly Imperfect chiming in from Brooklyn. Nice to see you. Thanks for joining. Andrea Swaby chiming in from Brooklyn as well. Karen is in Maryland. Good to have you. And the Gaylormores are, hey, chiming in from New Jersey. Good to see you. Thanks for chiming in. MDL chiming in from Clinton, Maryland. Copeland chiming in from Florida. Awesome. Very nice to see everybody. Very nice to have everybody come on board. And Troy, what's going on? In Jersey is in the house, in the building. Awesome. Let's get into the first article. So let's start light, and then this one is kind of long. Yeah, this is very long. It's a New York Times article. All right, let's we're going to do some highlights here, and I'll throw it in the comment section. If you want to read along, you can do that. If not, I got you. I'm gonna go through it. All right, so let me share my screen here. There we go. Okay, this one was in New York. This is in New York Times, and it's about Jamaica. Name of the article, or title of the article, is "Encountering Another Jamaica." A writer explores the island beyond its popular all-inclusive resorts, seeking out guest houses owned by locals and experiences beyond the beaches. She finds mountain views, cascading waterfalls, and a sense of place. And then we got a picture. This is definitely Treasure Beach. I don't even need to read the caption. It's a New York Times article. This came out today, came out this morning. And like I said, I don't think I'll read the whole thing, but we'll get a good sense of it. And the reason why I like this is just, obviously, I'm very biased being a small hotelier, and I also very much do encourage our guests here, travelers, and then also if you're staying anywhere, and especially the guest house too, is like explore the island, and specifically like here in Negril. Like the greatest thing I think about Negril, and that's not really spoken about, and I like to bring this up whenever I have the opportunity, is the maneuverability of Negril. And to me, it's like, yes, we have this extremely, extremely beautiful beach, one of a kind, top 10 beach in the world that we're constantly being recognized for. It's great to look at. It's great to chill on the entire day. It's great to read a book. It's great to just hang out and enjoy the water. But it's also what makes it very Negril, like very unique in terms of traversing Negril. So with the beach is 7 miles, and it's made up of 5 miles on one bay, if you will, cove. I'm not sure what the proper name is. And then there is another bay that is 2 miles, and that's what gives you the 7 mile beach. And so if you're staying on the 5 Mile Strip, which is mostly made up of small hotels, and I believe I've been told this before, but I haven't fact checked it, but Negril has the highest per capita small hotels in any town across the Caribbean, which is great. And of course, we have the most small hotels in Jamaica for sure within our little tourist town here. And so with that, especially more specifically staying on the 5 Mile part of the 7 Mile beach, is the maneuverability of going from restaurant to restaurant, hotel to bar to bar sort of thing. And it's very easy. It's like one strip, and it's like small hotel after small hotel after small hotel. And then when you get to the northern part of the beach, there is mostly all inclusive there. And to me, like this really, really, it gives you an extremely unique experience to Jamaica and to Negril, like where most other parts of Jamaica, you have to take taxis to go different places or to get different experiences or different cuisines, or maybe even enjoy the nightlife, or maybe even now there's a lot of daytime bands happen and at different locations throughout the Negril Strip. You can just walk there and it's safe. Of course, people are going to try and sell you things. That's just Jamaica in general. But for the most part, you're going to get there in one piece and people walk up and down the beach all day, no problem. And that, again, is one of the, I think, the greatest selling points of Negril. And then in addition to that, we have the shared user path, the walking, running, biking path across the street. So there are many, many businesses on the Mara side that are across the street from the beach. And you can go, again, from business to business, or if you wanted to go to the new Hilo shopping plaza or go to the ATM, you can walk and do that. And you're not walking on the soft shoulder. You're far enough away from being on the street to feel safe enough to do that. And you can traverse around Negril as well that way. And so, and then of course, the exercising part, like if you're a runner or if you're a walker, it's a great way to either walk on run on the beach, or if you want to be on pavement, you can do that across the street as well. So Negril is an extremely, extremely walking friendly town. And I don't think that is emphasized enough. Same thing on the West End, which is not on the beach, beautiful, intimate. And that also is a big advantage of Negril as well, especially if you're vacationing here. But it's a completely different vibe. And I know we have guests that will split their vacation between staying half of the vacation here with us at Travelers and half at another property on the West End. And again, we as a hotel, to us, like we'd love for you to spend your money, all of your meals here at Travelers, but that doesn't necessarily give you like a complete Negril, complete Jamaican experience. And we encourage our guests to go out, try new restaurants. We have a list of recommendations of different restaurants that they can go to, experience the nightlife. And, that's just kind of our perspective. And I think the author of this article, I'm assuming I haven't read it, is an advocate for that. And not to say that there's anything wrong with all inclusives, that, if that's the type of vacationer that you are, like, sure, I support you and I applaud you and doing that. And some people it's easier, especially like I understand, especially with families. My friends came here in the middle of last year and they had their kids with them. And for them, it was just easier. They didn't have to worry about money and their wallets and everything like that. They can just focus on just looking after the kids, making sure that they have a good time. And I completely get that. But I just want to just emphasize again, huge selling point for Negril that I don't think is talked about enough. So anyway, let's continue the article here. And so said the tour guide midway through our trip to Jamaica, what are you really looking for? It was a good question. In most places we went, a group of 4 women had been welcomed, warned, and flirted with, but we were rarely asked many questions about the nature of our trip. We'd flown in from England and the United States in mid-November, just before high season, intending to see the country over the course of a month while staying in and visiting as many locally owned businesses and guest houses we could find. Traveling from the east of the lush island to the west, and mostly avoiding the tourist hotspots of Ocho Rios, Montego Bay, and Negril, we sought out places that were the opposite of what Jamaica and many Caribbean islands have been known for. resort-style luxury, and that doesn't always offer locals a significant slice of the tourism pie. As a granddaughter of Jamaican immigrants, the search and special resonance for had special resonance for me. Excuse me. When people come to the Caribbean, they're being funneled into this journey of the airport to the resort, and that's all they see of the country," said Reyes Phillips, the author of the award-winning cookbook West Winds: Recipes, History, and Tales from Jamaica. "Usually, if you follow the money trail of the passage, it doesn't lead to any tangible benefits for the people who live and work in those countries." Nicole Dennis Benn, who wrote about the dark side of Jamaica tourism in her debut novel Here Comes the Sun, explained that it can be hard for Jamaicans to start successful businesses. "It's really impossible if you don't come from wealth already. You're not going to find much ownership among Jamaican working class," she said. And then here's a picture of Benta Falls here in Westmoreland, which I still have not been to, but I hear really good things about it. Even many of the white sand beaches that foreign visitors enjoy are off limits to residents and are instead controlled by hotels and resorts, which limits access to their guests. Of the island's approximately 493 miles of coastline, less than 3 miles are designated as public beaches, and about half of those are used in association with hotels, according to recent government policy paper. The public beaches that do exist are often run down and not fit for use. The exclusion is emblematic of what some locals feel is the continuing legacy of colonialism and the history of slavery on the island. Okay, we are going dark here. Okay, fair enough. Committed to discovering the country that few visitors see, we set out to discover if it was possible to be good tourists and travel Jamaica beyond the resorts. And then here's a picture of the Blue Mountain View guest house. And yeah, you can see that. The Blue Mountains. Our trip began with a long journey from Montego Bay's Sangsters International Airport to Kingston on the Negril Express, Greyhound equivalent bus, and then a taxi up and across the Blue Mountains, high above the capital, to stay at the Blue Mountain View guest house. We arrived at night after a treacherous drive, but we woke the next morning to the chirping of insects and a stunning sight. The guest rooms, made with abundance of polished natural wood, are surrounded by trees and built into the edge of the great crevasse, looking out over a plunging swath of greenery. Excuse me. It was a Blue Mountain View that we met Noel Lindo and his wife, Michelle. The self-described king of the mountain, Mr. Lindo was born in the area. After living in London for most of his adult life, he and Michelle decided to return to Jamaica to live in 2011, building their own house and then guest houses. They're explicitly LGBTQ friendly in a country that is not always hospitable to gay visitors, treat guests like family, and hand roast their own coffee on site. Mr. Lindo is fatherly, frank, and incredibly chatty. He likes to layer stories upon stories, taking us from the streets of the 1970s London to colonial Jamaica and back again. "There's so much to do in this mountain. It's unbelievable," he said enthusiastically, pointing out hiking trails in the Blue and John Crow Mountains National Park, hidden waterfalls and coffee plantations, many of them owned by locals. Although it's isolated, we discovered that Blue Mountain View is within hiking distance of Strawberry Hill, the famous hotel started by the Island Records founder Chris Blackwell. We stopped at Ed's Cafe, where we gorged on tender saltfish fritters, warming pumpkin ginger soup, and sticky, delicious caramelized plantain crepes while looking out across the misty mountains, surrounded by the buzz of swallowtail hummingbirds. And that food looks really good, actually. It was through Mr. Lindo that we wound up taking a trip to visit the parish of Portland on the island's northeast coast. Although perhaps predominantly known for its beaches and as the location of the Blue Lagoon, made famous in the 1980 movie, we had a more rural experience. Our first stop was the Living Daylights, an eco farm restaurant and bar in the jungle of Bonnie View Hill, Port Antonio, that has been open since 2018, aiming to offer guests a piece of paradise with a focus on sustainability. Jesse Crosby's family has farmed the land for more than 50 years, but he always had ambitions to do something more with it. And when he met Brandon Powell, who has both Jamaican and U.S. citizenship, they were able to make that a reality. Arriving at midday, we were treated to a sweaty, fun farm hike led by Mr. Crosby. He picked cinnamon leaves from the trees for us to sniff, jostled down coconuts for us to drink from, and showed us hidden plant and trees. This was followed by a delicious farm-to-table meal cooked by Simi Brenner, the owner of Musa Pot, a vegan restaurant that included a chickpea curry with merengue leaf, ripe plantain, and cocoa leaf, and a salad made from June plum, cucumber, sour leaf. The Musa Pot has since moved to a new location in Portland, but the Living Daylights will continue to offer farm-to-table meals. Does anybody notice, or does anybody remember, or know who Simi Brenner is? That she was on the live stream last Thursday, and she was one of the protesters at Blue Lagoon on Saturday, and she actually sent me an update that I'll probably go over on Sunday, as a matter of fact. So really awesome to see Simi on here and getting her place bigged up, and definitely gonna have to check that out. So that's Simi, who was on last week's live stream in the New York Times article. Look at that. Just a week later, good for her. Musa Pot is the name of her business. Definitely check that out. I'm going to check that out as well at some point whenever I make it to Portland. Hopefully this year. We're actually already planning the trip there. We're planning to do some content there, hopefully over the summer. At least that's the plan. All right, continuing on. Our second stop in Portland was the self-governing Maroon community of Charlestown and Buff Bay Valley, whose residents are descendants of proud Africans who escaped enslavement by fleeing to mountainous regions. It was one of the few times in Jamaica where we were viscerally reminded of the island's dark history and its continuing legacy. A tour of the small museum charted the history of the Maroons and how they have protected their freedom and culture over centuries, creating their own communities and belief systems while fighting against British slave owners and colonialists in a series of war. Marcia Douglas, the current leader of the community and the first woman to hold the position, held up a heavy shackle that would have once been clasped around an enslaved person's neck. Later, other members of the community brought out drums and sang. We were taught dances and that bind the present and the past. What we're offering in the tourism sector is our heritage, our ancestral inheritance, Miss Douglas told me after the tour. And then we see a picture of Floyd's Pelican Bar. All right, and we're on to Treasure Beach. Treasure Beach and community tourism. Another long, bumpy drive took us from the Blue Mountains down to Treasure Beach, a village in the southwest parish of St. Elizabeth. It's probably the area in Jamaica best known for community tourism, low-impact travel that works in relative sync with locals. Once a fishing village, over the past 30 years, Treasure Beach has become a beacon for tourists looking to travel off the beaten track. The town is small, hot, and with dusty roads lined by cactuses and flowers. Its treasures are somewhat hidden. Shacks that looked inconsequential at first glance came alive at different times of the day. The stunning beaches were a more obvious draw, along with a variety of well-priced, locally owned guest rooms and villas on Airbnb, such as Aztec Villas, a collection of newly built guest houses with a small shared pool only a few minutes away from the beach and the main, albeit tiny, strip of shops, places to eat. Very cool. We spent the bulk of the time in Treasure Beach sampling locally owned highlights: the Smurfs Cafe for best Jamaican breakfast in town, Eggy's Beach Bar for the coldest red stripe right on the sand, and Gee Whiz for tasty, reasonably priced vegan food in an eccentric setting. The restaurant is painted in faded cotton candy colors and flanked with statues of long-beaked fish, while the huge pillared dining room boasts colorful murals. And then this is a picture of the owner of Gee Whiz, Delroy Brown. Floyd's Pelican Bar, built from driftwood and palm fronds on a sandbank in the middle of the ocean, has to be the area's best known spot. Constructed in 2001 by Floyd Forbes, it's a slick operation these days, requiring a boat journey that costs $40 per person at a minimum from Treasure Beach. But the vibes a mile away from the shore are sun-drenched and otherworldly. The freshly caught fried escovitch fish and bammy, a type of cassava flatbread, were the best I had on the island. Treasure Beach is still an anomaly in Jamaica's tourism sector. There's no question that over 90% of Jamaica's traditional room stock is all-inclusive, said Jason Hensel, the chairman and owner of and co-owner of Jake's Hotel, the largest business in the area, who also runs a nonprofit to support locals. I sat at the board of the Jamaica Ministry of Tourism for 8 years, and I know they have been quite hesitant about community tourism, not necessarily in Treasure Beach, but overall, because they were worried about crime. That's a cold, hard truth. The Ministry of Tourism did not respond to requests for comment. And there's a picture of the Aztec villas in Treasure Beach. Looks pretty cool. Never even heard of these places. I gotta check some of these places out. Let's keep going. But then he said Airbnb changed everything. It happened in spite of the ministry not wanting it. It's almost as though Airbnb was made for Jamaica, right? Because every Jamaican is a character. The other reality of Treasure Beach, though, is that not that much of the beachfront land has been bought up by non-Jamaicans. Mr. Hensel, who has helped landowners sell property in the area, tells me that these days go for over $1 million an acre, putting it out of reach of most locals. We know that tourism is our number one revenue, and a lot of the time when people are living in a prime area, especially working class Jamaicans, they tend to displace them, said Ms. Dennis Ben, whose upcoming novel will explore land ownership. But Mr. Hensel pointed out the majority of large guest houses in Treasure Beach, 4 out of 5, are owned by locals. And he added, you have some foreigners who are extremely respectful of our community, respectful of our traditions, respectful of our heritage and culture. And here's a picture of Mel's Botanical Retreat, situated on Cave Mountain in Westmoreland. Last stop, Mel's. Our stop 2 hours from Treasure Beach was Mel's Botanical Retreat, situated on Cave Mountain in Westmoreland, the westernmost parish of Jamaica. The retreat, featuring 3 hand-built wooden cabins and community kitchen, is high above the shimmering Caribbean Sea and nestled in the lush jungle. At present, it's being run by a teenage girl named Kiara Clayton. She is motherless and grieving, but trying to do something very special, keeping a dream of a Black woman-owned community tourism alive. Kiara's mother, Melissa Rodney, founded the retreat, built on the site of her family's longtime goat pasture. In the summer of 2021, she was pregnant with her second child and had recently married the love of her life. But then in August, she died. At age 36, COVID took her and her unborn baby. Man, oh man, that's tough. 5 months later, 15-year-old Kiara decided to take over the business, balance it alongside schoolwork and her ambitions to study to become a lawyer or an entrepreneur in America. Despite her age, she understands the power of legacy. With the help of her family and her mother's many friends from all over the world, she is continuing to host guests at the retreat. One night, Kiara joined me in the communal kitchen to talk about the business and why she decided to carry it on. She wanted to be this Black Jamaican woman-owned business. She just loved being strong and independent, she said. What makes the property special among the thousands of Airbnbs across Jamaica is its commitment to these ideals. It's really rare in Jamaica to have a woman born in poverty and become as successful as Mel became with her goat pasture. And Stacey Davis, a family friend who helped Mel in the early days of the retreat. Every flower in that retreat, everything you see, she did by hand. Although Kiara has faced some financial struggles with maintaining the property since her mother died, it remains a haven for guests seeking the ephemeral and elusive trait authenticity. Mel and now Kiara encourage guests to engage with the local community on the south side of the island. At Benta Falls, an hour or so drive from Mel's, we were treated to a joyous day at a series of cascading waterfalls and deep pools led by 2 energetic guides. The property's owner, Stacey Wilson, played dominoes with a bunch of men in the small bar next to the falls while we ate a delicious plate of crispy fries and jiggled the pink-haired bartender. Jiggled with the pink-haired bartender. Jiggled. I don't know what that means. That must be a UK terminology. Anyway, Mr. Wilson's American cousin, Jacoby Faith, explained that the family has owned the area since 1970s, but only set up a business in 2017, charging at the time we visited $20 for tourists and a nominal 500 Jamaican are about $3.25 for locals. Closer to Mel's Bluefields Beach provided all the white sand and azure temperature water you could wish for, along with the knowledge that it is one of the few beaches on the island that explicitly remains open for locals. It's looked after by the Bluefields People Community Association, which promotes sustainable social and economic development. With towels spread out under a tree, we sipped strong rum cocktails and played with local children in the water. We were guests, but we were accepted. The reality is that Jamaica beyond the resorts is beautiful, but impoverished and still visibly recovering from the pandemic. It can get expensive if you don't drive and need to rely on taxis to get around. Through route taxis, as used by locals, can offset some of the costs. Traveling around the country feels completely safe in a group as long as you keep your wits about you and remain polite. Stepping out of the comfort zone is a must. Taking the easy options will not lead you to the communities that will really benefit from the money that tourism can bring. It's on us as tourists to seek them out, move within them with an awareness of our relative privileges, and remember the human stories behind their businesses. There were deep sacrifices that some working class Jamaicans have made to try and bring a new type of tourism to the surface. As Kiara said to me, measuring her words at the end of our conversation, it was Mel's dream, and now it's my dream. But it probably doesn't have to work out the way it was going to work out for me, for her, for me. Maybe something else is destined for me. That was a pretty cool article. Okay. Thank you for the definition of jiggled equals laughter. Got it. Never heard. Did I say jiggled? I did say jiggled. Hold on. Okay, it's clearly giggled. I can't read. Thank you guys for that. Giggled. I can't read pretty much. Yeah, that was silly. Well, anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the article despite that. I thought this was pretty good. I thought this was pretty good. And most of the places I have not heard about, which is interesting. This is pretty informative, I would say. And I hope I'm gonna make some notes on this for sure, and especially in Treasure Beach. I go there quite often, pretty regularly, and I haven't heard a lot of those places. Our trip that we have in Port Antonio, Portland, hopefully in the summer, we'll be able to kind of tick off some of those things. Yeah, I didn't mean. You're welcome for reading the whole article. Yeah, I'm getting a lot of smiley faces on the jiggled, not giggled. I swore it was a J. I'm not even kidding. Like, even in my mind, it looked like a J. I don't know if that's like dyslexia playing on me. But let me just hop to the comments real quick, and then we could kind of talk about the article a little bit. I mean, we can just do it like in line with the comments here. Frey Shepherd says, share the link of my hotel, TBR.travel. So that's my family's hotel, Travelers Beach. I just put in the comments. Joe says, hello, Throp, in traffic on the West Side Highway while listening to the stream. Okay, get home safely. Podcasting with us. Very nice. Happy to join you on your commute home. Donna Bryce says, happy Thursday, Throp and all. I love how easy it is to get around in Negril. So many options for dining. Love it. Yeah. Same. Very much so. And then, as the article says, you can take route taxis if you want. It's like so easy to take a route taxi. They just a point A to point B. You pay one flat rate, no matter how far or how short you're going, you're paying the same rate. And so if you're staying on the beach road, you can take one all the way downtown to go to the West End, and you get out there, and then you can take another route taxi. I don't remember how much it is, $2 to $3 maximum. I doubt it's even $3. I highly doubt. Probably more closer to $2, and you get to ride the whole route. And then when you get to downtown, you can take a route taxi as far up as you need to go on the West End. Jeff Hallman says, I walk 5 miles a day plus when I'm in Negril. Yeah, you can definitely get your steps in Negril very easily, going from place to place. Easily. Marlene chiming in from LA. Good to see you. Yeah, Karen, definitely. God bless Kiara. Like, I want to go to. I definitely want to check out her place for sure. For sure, we're gonna put that on. We're gonna put that on the list. Born Under the Clock says Treasure Beach is a hidden gem. I actually started going there after you did a show from small hotel down there. Awesome, awesome. So happy to hear. That's Born Under the Clock is talking about uh, Sunset, which is where I always stay when I go to Treasure Beach, and that's owned by the Souths. And yeah, they do. They've been there for like decades on decades. Father passed down to son. The family has it, and so they do a great job there. And it's my favorite and only place that I stay when I go there. Not that there aren't other great places. This article named a few of them with Jake's and the Aztecs. I never been to Aztecs, but Jake's, of course, I go there to eat all the time when I'm there. And I'd never heard of the Aztecs until this article. So I'm just definitely going to check that out. The Gallimores, strength and growth come only through continuous effort and struggle. Our greatest glory is not from falling, but from rising to the call. Great piece. Well said. Well said. Oh, Candice is having a separate conversation. Max and Relaxing says, just jumped in. Thank you for that laugh. Hope everyone is having a great day. You're welcome. Kemi chiming in from Texas. Bob says, "Hey, Throp, what's your top 3 must-dos in the grill?" Okay, good question. I can answer that momentarily. Dolores, hi everyone, Portlander in London on the train home watching live. Awesome, nice to have you on, or maybe have me on your ride home. That's so cool. That's so cool. Andrea Swaby, says great article. Yeah, I thought this was pretty cool. Definitely making some mental notes here as I went through it. And Benter Falls has been on my list for so long. Never been to the Blue Mountains either. Got to get there at some point. Oh, I see. Oh, she has. I see here. She has like all of the. Oops. I don't know if you guys can see that, but she has a map here, and she has all of the places that she went to pinned here, which is pretty cool. That was nice of her. But she went to some pretty cool places there. So Bob asked top 3 things. I mean, any other comments on the article, please feel free to hop in. But top 3 must-dos in the grill. How would I answer that? So I would say if it's your first time here, you got to go to Rick's. It's just, I guess, a thing. Most people who live here try to avoid Rick's. It's like if you're in New York, the last place you want to go to is Times Square. It's like kind of the same thing. But you go there, like if my friends are coming in town and they've never been to Rick's, I'm going to take them to Rick's Cafe, right? It's just one of those things you got to do. Another thing you got to do, I would say, if you're staying on the West End, you got to come hang out on the beach. For sure. That's if you're staying on the West End and you're not staying on a beach property. Come hang out on the beach for a day. I would also say check out a reggae show. It could be right now. There's a lot of different places that have daytime shows and night. So if you're not a night person, like I am, not a night person, I'll go to a daytime show. I highly recommend the Drifters. Drifters Bar. I don't know their schedule. The only one I can emphatically remember is their Sunday. They have multiple days per week that they have live shows there. But the only day that I can emphatically remember is Sundays. And that is, it has their really, really awesome vibe. Luddy Sams, he's a former member of the Drifters. And they play a lot of reggae music, of course, but then they'll play like a lot of oldies as well, which I think is cool. A lot of Drifter songs and great live band that they have there. And then at night, there are like pretty much any night of the week you can go to a live band on a live reggae show on the beach. So those would be like, I guess that's three, and I'll do another one just in case you're already staying on the beach. What's a must do if you're here? I would say try another restaurant that you're not staying at. Like if you're staying at a hotel, get out the hotel and try another restaurant, right? And so that could be a restaurant on the cliff, it could be dinner, it could be lunch. That's what I would highly recommend that people do when they come here. Even if you're staying at an all inclusive, go try a restaurant at a different hotel. Like even my brother's classmates from business school, they were here. They're here in Negril, but they're not staying at Travelers, or they're not staying at a small hotel. They're staying at an all inclusive, and they came out for dinner with us, and that really gives you definitely a more authentic experience, I think, in my personal opinion. And to come out, and then you're also supporting, like the article is advocating for, you're supporting local businesses that are staying, that those monies are staying in the community, and it's helping out local the local economy. Thankfully, there are still a large majority of businesses in the grill that are owned by locals. However, if you look to the point, I believe it was Jason Hensel that said in this article, that when you look at the room count of foreign versus locally owned hotel rooms, it's definitely foreign owned, because they just own just so many more rooms. The hotels that are coming in are starting at 2,000 rooms. So that like kind of just completely wipes out like 10 of us, right? Maybe no more than that, probably closer to 20 of us, small hotels, right? In terms of balancing the room count. So those would be my three recommendations. If you haven't been here before, check out Rick's. If you're staying on the West End or the Cliffs, come spend a day at the beach and come hang out at the beach. If you're at whatever hotel that you're staying at, go enjoy and try different restaurants and our bars at some point, whether it's for dinner or for lunch, and then enjoy some of the music that we have available here, the live reggae music. I'd actually recommend the day over the night. The night is cool. The night is good. I can't say that it's not, but I would definitely say the daytime has kind of become like a newer thing in the last 5-7 years, where there are multiple venues that you could go to for live reggae show during the day. And I've been to Drifters several times, and I can personally recommend them as a place to go to for good reggae music as well during the day, on a Sunday specifically. The Gallimore says Roots Bamboo, definitely the live shows are straight fire. Yep, I haven't been there in a long time, but when I used to go, they were very good. I take your word for it at this time. I haven't been in many, many years. Michelle Johnson says, hi, first time on your live, enjoying and watching from Kingston. Love Negril. Awesome. Thank you for joining. Appreciate you being here. Loved having you. Chad O'Malley, I have work to do, but then Throp starts streaming. Decisions. Good to see you on here, Chad. Miss Perfectly Imperfect says, I miss box lunch from the local shop. Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of those kind of shops here. So I'll name a couple of my favorites. One that has become one of my favorites in the last few years is Coletta's, right here on the beach. It's maybe, what would I say, maybe a mile from Travelers, probably a little less than a mile from Travelers. Great breakfast, like banging. One of the best breakfasts in a grill. It's quick, it's fast. It's like a local cook shop, but it's a very popular place amongst locals. And when you see like when you go in the morning and you see like all like bus drivers getting their food and their coffee before they start their shift, or taxi drivers, it's spot on. Very, very affordable as well. And I love them over there. They're really, 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 really great. Another place we go to I haven't been for dinner, but for lunch, I've gone there many times for lunch, is Sips and Bites. It's on the West End. It's like right next to Rock House. Excellent food. When they have oxtail, like they usually, not usually, but many times they have oxtail. And so I always go there for the oxtail. I haven't been there in quite some time. Yeah, I would recommend sips and bites. Like those are my two favorite local small restaurants in Negril that don't miss. They do not miss. Faye Shepherd says Pushcart restaurant in West End. Pushcart is good. Pushcart is very good. And Say says Skylark Seaside Restaurant, awesome. So yeah, there's good. That's actually where we went for dinner with my brothers and my brother's classmate. Very good. I probably go there most often for lunch, as a matter of fact. Dieter, what's going on? Thanks for joining. Good to see you, man. Miss Cole says I've been to Pushcart. It was good. Bob, you got it. No problem, man. Anytime. It's perfectly imperfect is taking some notes. All right, awesome. Like these Negril discussions. I can talk about Negril all day, obviously, but we don't have to do that. All right, we can go on to the next article. So where should we take this one? All right, so let's go into. All right, this is more of an announcement, I would say. I was supposed to. Oh, I see Sahaj here. It says Rocky's Box Lunch place beside Value Master is great. Never been there. Is that in Value Master Plaza? Let me know. Let me know, Saj. CK, what's going on, man? Topic tonight. We're all over the place. We're all over the place. We're going through some articles right now. About to hop into the next one. The first article was it was a New York Times article based on well, the authors. She came here in a group of 4 women traveling all over the island, doing more local stays and local activities. So we just finished that up, and now we're about to hop into more of an announcement. So this is the EU Jamaica 5K. So this is on, let me see, Sunday. Yeah, I don't got to read the article. I was supposed to, unfortunately, I was supposed to run this race this weekend, and I hurt my knee. I've had a bad knee for a while, but I could have ran this race, but I'm not going to go. I can't do it. I want to heal up my knee. So anyway, I thought it was just worth mentioning. So they're doing a 5K on the 12th, which is Sunday, and they looking like they have 2,000 people going, and they're raising money for the Kingston High School to fund literacy program in the institution because of an acceptance that there is a correlation between literacy and violence. Of course, that is 100% true. So definitely want to support this, even though I'm not running. But yeah, if you know any, I think you can still sign up. I'm sure you could probably still sign up until tomorrow. And I wish I was running. I definitely would be trying to go for the win, especially after my last race in Kingston. I was sick and just couldn't perform. But so it goes. We'll be back for another one. There are probably many more 5Ks. And I forgot the Treasure Beach. Let me look that up. I know it's coming up soon. April 29th. Yeah, we're definitely doing this one. The off-road, I guess, since we were talking about Treasure Beach in the article. So I'm definitely doing this one. The triathlon. I was close to placing last year. I just didn't know how far ahead the people were in front of me, and then I stopped on my bike because my GoPro fell off. A bunch of silliness, but I was nowhere near winning this one. I'm not a triathlete. I'm definitely a runner. So this is the 29th of April. I'm definitely going to be running this, and I need to find a faster bike. I have a mountain bike, but you need a hybrid bike that's light that could go up these mountains because it's so you can see here. It's 300-meter swim, 25K off and on road backcountry mountain bike, and a 7K trail run. So the swimming is fine. The biking, I can obviously ride a bicycle, but like I just can't keep up with these guys. These guys are like pro athletes, and there's at least the guy who won, Cargyle. He's really really good. He's really really good, and raced him a bunch of times. But I'm not. I doubt I'm going to be able to beat him. I could get him on the run. I could get him on the run. You know, we can compete in the run. I actually set the course record last year for the run. I'm going to try to break my own record this year for sure. I wasn't even racing because I didn't think I even had a chance. So this year I'm going to try to break my own record on the run, and let's see what we can do. Let's see if I could borrow somebody's bike for that. So I just thought of that as we were talking. So 2 articles. There's one on the minimum wage increase. So I guess we could go into that. I don't want to assume that everybody knows that this is coming up. So this is from the JIS. It says Labor Minister to announce increase in minimum wage in April. Minister of Labor and Social Security, Honorable Carl Samuda, will announce an increase in the minimum wage in April. This was disclosed by the Minister of Finance and the Public Service, Dr. the Honorable Nigel Clark, as he opened the 2023-24 budget debate in the House of Representatives on March 7th. Dr. Clark noted that the government has always prioritized the lives of Jamaican people with a view of improving their living standards and to allow them to lead more meaningful lives. As such, the last increase under minimum wage in 2022 was the single largest increase in the entire history of the Minimum Wage Act, moving from $7,000 to $9,000, an increase of 29%. The minister noted that as the minimum wage was changed only 1 year ago, many minimum wage earners are concerned as to whether they will have to wait a year or 2 years for another increase. We know that times are tough, and we know in today's Jamaica that though there was an increase just a year ago, that $9,000 is an insufficient amount to live on in Jamaica, especially after the inflation shock last year, Dr. Clark said, adding that the minister is seized of this. Mr. Samuda advised the Standing Finance Committee of March 2nd that the report from the National Minimum Wage Advisory Council had been submitted to him. The Minister of Labor is the only person by law and by convention who announces the new rate of minimum wage. As such, he will announce the rate, and when he does, he will have the concurrence of the cabinet. Minimum wage earners can look forward to a meaningful increase, Dr. Clark said. Interesting. I have no idea what the increase is going to be. I don't know. We're probably going to talk about this on Sunday, but I'd be interested to hear what people think. I don't know if there are any. I know there are a couple of people here locally, but I don't know if there's anybody here that Chad and Candice, what do you guys think? I know you guys are in the chat, put you guys on the spot. What do you guys think the minimum wage will be increased to? And keeping in mind, it went up 29% a year ago from 7,000 to 9,000. And the minister is saying that you can expect, I believe he used the word substantial. But you expect a decent increase. Sorry, just reading through it quickly. National Minimum Wage Council submitted the minister of the only person by law. Yep. So at least they recognize, and I know that's something that like you with the finance videos, the banking videos, the investment videos that we've been recently putting out. That's something that a lot of people have been commenting on and are concerned about, rightfully so. Chad says, what do we need to do to increase it beyond this? Well, it's going to be increased beyond 9,000. It's announced April. In April, it's going to be increased to 9,000. I was just saying, what do you think it's going to be increased to? Troy says that's terrible. They need to increase to at least 15,000. Virtual Design Studio says since it's been a year, about 12,000. I feel like it's going to be okay. Candice says, "Oh, hi, Afrika. Thanks for chiming in." Afrika says, "Candy says 12 to 15,000. I'll be pleasantly surprised if it's more." Hi, Afrika. Afrika is the newest member of the Throt Media team. So, welcome, Afrika. She's a producer for Throt Media. Hey, Shayna. Good to see you. Nice to have you as always. Thanks for chiming in. CK says most of the people in government do not know what the ordinary people go through. Chad says he'd be surprised if it hits 12,000. I mean, I feel like it's 12,000. Like it's going to be 12,000. Should be around there. 15. We'll see. And we got to keep in mind that, and it makes sense that it can't go up exponentially, right? Because if it goes up, like, obviously this is a very extreme, non-realistic example, is like, if everybody starts earning $1 million, then $1 million becomes nothing, right? And that means everything is going to go up accordingly. So I don't know what that balance is. I'm no macroeconomic expert at all. That was not my best subject by any means, but I got through it. What I do know is that's almost like a self-inflicting inflation if this thing goes up, like if we skyrocket minimum wage. And so I think everybody agrees and thinks it's fair that minimum wage should be increased. Inflation has increased exponentially. Is it going to increase at the same rate? I don't know. Leave it to the experts. Leave it to the Minister of Finance. They have way more data than we do on that. And I'm not saying like we should just trust them blindly. I'm just hoping and thinking they would do a much better job than we can do here. Let's see. Faye Shepard says, when you look at the hotels charging US and paying $9,000 weekly, which is only $235 a month, and needs to double. I will say as a hotelier that, well, we don't charge $235, but as a hotelier, what also is like facing the businesses is just like the inflation on everything else, like particularly like JPS and water is like out of this world. Like, I won't speak about specific hotels, other hotels, but I will say like we're very lucky. We have a very strong repeat guest and ratio. We've been in business since 1994. We have guests who've been coming and staying with travelers for 20 years, over 20 years. So people are going to come, even through the pandemic, people were trying to come. That's how much they are in love with Jamaica and how much they love travelers. And so because we have that history, we have, I think, is a very competitive advantage. And I also like to think that we're a good product, right? And so anyway, the rates of the expense of running the property is crazy. If you're trying to build or refurbish now, like all of that stuff is like absolutely out of this world. And and we got to understand too, and I'm not asking for any pity. I'm just asking for we got to understand the whole picture here is that Jamaica is competing globally. And of course, like hotel after hotel here in Jamaica, here in Negril, we're competing against each other directly. But as a global country, like we're competing against Rep, we're competing against many different cities in Mexico, Puerto Rico, you name it. Basically, anybody who's deciding to go somewhere other than Jamaica, we're competing against them. But those are, without a doubt, our direct competitors. So as a country, as a hotel, we have to remain competitive. No, not just on price. And I will also say Jamaica is not a cheap place. We've been talking last night with our friends. They were just saying they were expecting, I guess their expectation would be a little bit cheaper. It's not as expensive as New York, but Jamaica, I would not consider Jamaica to be a cheap place to vacation. There are ways that you can be economically savvy and have a vacation, but when you talk about general across the board, it's not a cheap place. And so with that, I feel like Jamaica has to compete more on value than necessarily on price because of how expensive it is to run the business. And especially in the last years, and at least the last years that I was running the hotel, one of my main headaches became the price of water. Just absolutely, I feel like it's up like where when I first started running the hotel, I never really worried so much about the price from NWC. And then towards the end of my operational career, just absolutely skyrocketed, absolutely skyrocketed. And these are things that that should be taken in consideration. And for those people who are building new hotels, I mean, even our little projects, I mean, God bless you at this point. Like we're doing renovations here at the hotel, but we're not putting up a building, we're not putting up a lodge or anything like that. And like the construction material, extremely expensive. And you got to think about the trickle down that's going to have on that. Like the rates, I believe, for like these rooms are going to continue to go up when you have these new hotels that are coming up in Green Island. We talk about the one that's on the other book end here in Westmoreland. We're not talking about $99 room night hotels. We're not talking about Holiday Inns or anything like that. No disrespect to Holiday Inns, but these things are going to be higher end and more costly. But that's just the reality of the situation. Sorry, went way down a different tangent. Copeland Russell says, I listened to the budget debate. It was great. Candice says, yeah, I think it would be 12K. I doubt they'll bring it much higher. I agree with CK Bond that most of the government officials don't seem as connected with the people. CK Bond says, Throp, people come to Jamaica and spend a lot of money. It's up to the business owner to have consistent treat of the workers fairly and just. Absolutely, that's so important. That's so important to respect our people because we're nothing without our people. Like I'll speak for that for travelers and any business that I have. It's like 100% is the people. Gretna is a city on the West Bank, minutes from Algiers and across the river from New Orleans. I don't know where that came from. Maybe that's from the article earlier. Chad says, the fact that Jamaica must compete on price to me suggests that there's something missing for Jamaica to compete otherwise. If this is true, what is it that it needed to compete otherwise? I'm saying the opposite. I believe Jamaica used to compete on price. And this is specifically when we're looking at the spring break era of the 90s and early 2000s, where, we were charging dirt rates and then stuffing 4 kids into a room. I wouldn't say the spring break companies of the world. That's what they were doing. And they were charging like $1,000. Imagine this, $1,000 for a week in Jamaica, hotel, room and board included, and flight. Crazy, right? But those were the deals that they were given. And they were able to do that because of volume. They were bringing thousands of college kids. I was one of those college kids at one point in time. At the same time, and they were able to charge these low rates, and things were just a lot cheaper back then. I mean, you couldn't do that. Now. You couldn't do spring break. And I will say, I used to be a huge advocate for spring break, especially when I was a young hotelier, young manager here. And I used to go to these meetings with the Jamaica Hotel Industries Association, the Negril Chamber of Commerce. And I was a big champion for spring break because at that time, that's all I knew. And I felt like there was a conspiracy against spring break by the tourist board, specifically the tourist board. And in a sense, there was, and not a conspiracy like they're trying to undermine the product or anything like that, but they had the foresight to see that spring break is not necessarily a sustainable market. And it's also not a market that has money. And at that time, you could looking back, you could kind of see that Jamaica and the tourist board, they don't want to compete on price. And perhaps they understood that at the time that the cost of running Jamaica, of running a hotel, of running a destination is going to continue to go up, and we have to compete more so on value. And like, that's where I find the country more than anything else. And that is like the competitive advantage. And whether I feel like sometimes we take it for granted, specifically the culture of Jamaica. And that is like a huge, huge competitive advantage. And I've been to other Caribbean islands, and I'm not going to talk badly about another Caribbean island, but there is a lack of culture. Um, and there's just so many things that are just so original to Jamaica. The music for sure, the dancing, the food as well. I would also say even just the interactions amongst Jamaicans and amongst Jamaicans and tourists and vice versa. There is like a grittiness to it, but also there is this very, obviously Jamaicans in generally speaking are very jovial as well. And so the culture is also a big selling point of Jamaica. I feel like sometimes that's taking advantage because taken for granted. Because again, when you compare it to other islands, they just don't have what we have. And then on top of that, from a topographical standpoint, like, it's beautiful. Jamaica is like absolutely gorgeous. I mean, even just putting the Negril beach on the shelf for a second and not even considering that, but we talked about a whole article about the mountains and being in Blue Mountain, the amount of rivers that we have. They talk about Benta Falls as well. Being inside the country is like absolutely gorgeous and spectacular. And there are many things and adventures that you can go on outside of being on a beach. Although we do have very beautiful beaches, and one of the most beautiful and highly ranked beaches in the world for sure. But even outside of that, Jamaica has so many competitive advantages. And now when you start to look at the aspects of inflation and how it's affecting the price, and then also make no mistake about it, most, if not all, about what's driving the price across the board, at least in Jamaica, is our high electricity rate. We have one of the highest per kilowatt hour rates in the entire world, and that's what's driving it up. Also, I will add to that, our tariff rates are ridiculous. We've talked about this before. If you want to buy a car, ship it in, or just buy a car in Jamaica, you're going to pay double for that car, just based on the tariff rates. You know, we don't manufacture anything here. You know, we're not a plastic producing country, or, you know, we're not creating widgets. We're not in manufacturing. And I think, to me, I think a big reason for that is because it would cost too much to set up a factory here. You'd have to start thinking about solar, batteries, et cetera, because it's going to cost you so much. And that's why we don't have that. I think our strongest asset is our culture / our people, you know, and that's what we need. I think we need to focus on at this point, unless there's some sort of grand plan to come in and do some sort of, you know, completely new way of generating electricity, or the country somehow starts making so much money, maybe from a logistics hub or something like that, on a like right across the board basis, and it increases our GDP that affects it's so exponentially high that affects like every man, woman, and child living in Jamaica, where paying such a high exorbitant cost for electricity becomes nothing, then fine. But I don't know if that's going to happen in our lifetime. Sorry, let me get back to the comments. That was a long rant. I don't even know how we got there. Oh yeah, Chad's fault. He's saying about competing on price. So yeah, not competing on price, competing on value. That's kind of where we are. Face Shepherd says, exactly, for a local to make only 36,000 GMD, $235 US monthly, having to pay JPS, water, and children. Sure. I agree. And we were talking about that. We were talking about this earlier, and like frank, like, let's have a frank discussion. And even on that is, like, one thing I would like to know is like, what percentage of the country is earning minimum wage? I would love to know that statistic. Like, how many people are we actually looking at? And also, is the assumption that if minimum wage goes up, does that bump everybody else up? Two questions. I don't know the answer to that. I don't know the answer to the percentage of how many people are earning minimum wage. Is it most of the country? Is it half the country? I have no idea. I think that's important to take into consideration. I also think that, and this is specifically for young people, and specifically for young people. And we talked about this before when the team was on, I think a little bit. And it is really about hopefully convincing and opening the eyes, if they're not doing it already, for young people to really take their destiny in their own hands and make themselves more valuable than earning a minimum wage. Maybe your first job is coming out of high school, you have no experience. You maybe you don't even finish high school. Maybe that's where you start at. And I and like using myself as an example, like I started working at 14. I was earning like crazy low money, but like in my mind, like, all right, I'm gonna start earning more. And I worked like right through college from 14 to 22, making my own money and trying to be as independent as I possibly could. But even with that mindset, like I always saw myself going up and going up and going up. And maybe I didn't have the presence of mind to say like, oh, I'm increasing my value as a human being and as a person and to society. But I knew that I would always be going up a ladder and working towards something better tomorrow than today, sort of thing. So again, specifically for young people, and especially the world that this is personally my opinion, a world that we live in today, I think there are just great opportunities out there for young people who are technically savvy, who have smartphones that can create opportunities for themselves. And perhaps they don't know how. I'm not going to say it's easy. All I'm saying, the opportunity is there. And that I hope young people are not, hopefully they're, especially if you're not, say you're not on a track to go into like a profession, like a doctor, a lawyer, etc. If that's what you wanted to do. I'm not saying everybody is trying to do that. I also think there is just too much of a strong emphasis of pushing young people in that direction, are putting those careers on this pedestal, which in many ways they do deserve for sure. But I don't think everybody should be judged according to those professions, because living in the world today, you have people who are learned skills online, videographer, editor, photographer, creative skills, writer, all these things, and they're working for these companies internationally. Some people become influencers. And I'm basically, what I'm advocating for is for young people to think outside of traditional mechanisms, even outside of traditional schooling, to create opportunities for themselves, because I've seen it and I'm seeing it myself working. And maybe the eyes haven't been open to that as a possibility, and to think, as we talk about on this channel, about working from abroad, working from home, people coming to Jamaica to work for companies in the United States and earning their income here while having lower expenses. The same thing can be had and created for young people here, where they can create opportunities for themselves and make themselves valuable enough and bringing value to the table to organizations abroad and get paid that foreign currency. And I can guarantee you, none of these companies are saying, where's your college degree? Where's your high school degree? Let me see your credentials. If you can do the work and show that your portfolio and your ability to do that, you're going to get an opportunity. Every person that I hired on my team, I did not ask anybody for their college degree. I did not ask anybody for their high school degree. I didn't ask anybody, let me see your grades. Like, that is not important to me. What's important to me is like, do you have a good attitude? Can you do the work? And then everybody on the team has a great attitude and they're very competent, they're professional and excellent at what they do. And most companies today, that's what they're looking for. They're not looking for degrees. And I'm not saying I have my degrees, and I'm not saying not to go to school. The degrees are not important or anything like that. What I am saying is that there are opportunities out there. And I think it's more of a matter of like opening the eyes specifically to young people. If you're somebody who's like a laborer and you've been doing this for many years, and it's getting harder and harder, like, I understand that. I don't necessarily have an answer or a solution for that, but my mindset would be like, man, like, how can we put yourself in a position to create more, bring more value to the table at the end of the day. Let me go on into some comments and see if anybody has anything to say about that little rant that I went on. But I agree with you, Faye. It's not easy out there. But again, with young people, it's like we got to think like very, you got to be strategic in these times. And I'm saying this also from the perspective of a person who mentors several young people. And I had one of these young Thundercats who's 19 years old. I think he just graduated high school at the time, and good kid, good kid. I can't say anything bad about his character and who he is. Doesn't come from the best neighborhood, doesn't come from the best background, but he had, I would consider him, I don't know what's inside his heart, but like from the outside looking in and from the years that I know him, he's morally a good person. And he came to me 19 years old, and he's essentially looking for direction in his life. And he just one day out of the blue, this kid says to me, I think I'm going to have a kid next year. I'm like, what are you talking about? I was like, what are you talking about having a kid? If you have a kid now at night, or maybe it's at 20 at the time when he's going to turn 20 and have this kid and have this baby with whoever, I don't know, this young lady he was talking about, or maybe he didn't have a young lady, but this is what he wanted to do. I'm like, you're setting yourself up for a life of poverty. You don't have a college degree. You don't know, he didn't have a job at the time, as a matter of fact. He didn't know what kind of career that he wanted to get into or what direction his life was going to have. And this is what I mean. Like this kid was just like looking for guidance. He was looking for purpose. And in his mind and his idea, having a kid would give himself purpose. And I convinced him otherwise. And I said, you can't afford to have a kid. I was like, at the time, I was like, I don't think I can afford to have a kid. And I don't feel as if I am personally in a position to take care of a wife, a kid, and to live a lifestyle that I would like to, that I would be comfortable with. And for you to say this in your position and you to actually contemplate like this is the direction that you want to take your life in, you're out of your mind. Convinced him otherwise. Came to me a day later, a few days later, whatever it was. And he was like, thank you for that. And I was like, oh my God, like bullet dodged. And I was like, what if I didn't have this conversation with this kid? And what if he didn't have me as somebody he can go to and talk about these things? How many other young men that are his age have the same mentality? I don't know where he got this from. I don't know what thought process or what YouTube video he watched to think that this was a good idea. I have no clue. I didn't care. Like the whole thing was like getting that out of his head, and for him to focus on himself. And the same thing I'm preaching and advocating for here is what I advocated for him to do, is to put himself in a position that would be a person of value. Don't be consuming content, be producing content. If you're going to be on your phone, you can't consume more than you produce. You can't, like, especially in a position like that. And one of the things that he has, and I speak specifically to this young man, is that and young people, is like they have more time than anything else. They have more time on their hands. But and I understand, I was a young person at one time, is this also, you lack discipline. You lack complete discipline, but it's like, it's so important that you lack it. You understand this about yourself and know this is a weakness, and that you can hopefully open your own eyes and say, in 5 years, in 10 years, I want to be here. And again, I get it. A young person, it's hard to see 10 years down the road. And even when I was 20, like the same thing, it was very hard for me to see. I'm 38 now. It's very hard to see me be 38. And I get that. I completely get that. But I say all that to say, is just like, he's just like a personal example that I had, that he could have been one of these people who never had a job, never worked anywhere. I'm not even 100% sure if he finished high school, to be honest. And he was ready to consciously have a child, to give himself purpose in life, and he didn't have a job. And he would be somebody that has no skill, but would be put into the labor pool of having of being paid minimum wage. But I think we need to go further upstream than that. It's like, if this kid is making that decision, where's the community? Where's the guidance? Where's the village that's supposed to be raising him to show him that this doesn't make any sense? And I hate to put it back on education, but it's education. Like, this is why education is so important. Mentorship is so important. I don't think his dad is in his life, as a matter of fact. He can't be at this point. Like, I would be scared if he was. So it's like we need to focus on the more upstream decision making. And if he was more educated, and if he was more around people who were ambitious and people who were doing something with their life, and he had a group of friends that say like, yo, I want to be a doctor, I want to be an engineer, I want to be a YouTuber, I want to be a videographer, this is what I'm going to do. Like all of that is going to be mixed up in the pot, and he's going to feed off of that. But I don't know who he's hanging around. It's not like we're sitting down every day, hanging out, doing this and doing that, unfortunately. But to me, bullet dodged in that sense. And again, I have to think and have to wonder how many other dudes out there have the same mentality. How many other dudes out there, get somebody pregnant accidentally? Maybe they decide to be in the kid's life. Maybe they don't. Who knows? And this is a regular story. I'm not saying anything that nobody here doesn't know already. All right. A lot of comments. All right, let me keep going in the comments quickly. Copeland Russell says, I would like to see more Jamaican-owned hotels. Why don't we see more? I'd say it's what Jason Hensel said in the New York Times article that we opened up with. It's $1 million an acre minimum in Negril, I'd say, at least. If you want to, there is room for more hotel. I will say that for Negril. Our inventory in Negril is low, both hotels and then also from a residential living standpoint, we need housing. There is room for more hotels because the demand is extremely, extremely high, specifically post-COVID. But you need the funds. I will say there is a new, oh no, it's not a hotel, it's a villa, sorry. I do wonder, so like there is money in Jamaica. Like we know this. There is a lot of money, but I do wonder why like more Kingstonians, like that's where the money is in Jamaica, right? Why more Kingstonians aren't coming to Negril and investing and doing hotels here? Although the Cliff Hotel where we did our all-white party for ThropX 2022, I believe he's from Kingston, and he came and he invested here in Negril, which I think is awesome. Love to see more hoteliers come into Jamaica, but it's a very competitive business. I don't know if they were like Jamaican hoteliers who are living and have hotels in other parts of the world. I'm sure of that. But bringing that experience and bringing it to Jamaica, I think is huge. And I don't know. I would love to see that more. Like it's definitely going on the opposite side. Like if it's not trending that, oh, there are more Jamaican hotels coming on board. No. There are less and less Jamaican-owned hotels in Jamaica, like year over year. There's no question about that. And the scale is definitely trending in the direction of more foreign-owned hotels. Hey, Metho, what's going on? Good to see you. Thanks for joining the chat. Candy says that's so throp. Jamaica has a lot of special characteristics and things to offer that can't be found anywhere else in the Caribbean. Absolutely. Candy says paying double for a lot of things to bring them in. Absolutely, yeah. Trying to see what everybody else is saying. Captain Brown says no experience like the Jamaican experience. Chad says don't get me started on manufacturing. Candy says that's so true, Throb. Jamaica has a lot of special Oh, that was from up above. Sorry. Mary Bernard. Excuse me. Maria Bernard says, when I go to Jamaica, I tell my husband and family all the time, you don't really understand how many people love Jamaica. Yeah, trust me. And when people love Jamaica, like they love Jamaica. Like I see it all the time. And it makes me wonder, like, are there other places, like when I travel to other places, like I don't see that. And I just wonder, like, how did people like choose Jamaica, like initially? And like, they come here every year. They don't go anywhere else. I know that happens a lot of parts of the other island, but like, I don't know if I see it more than I see it here in Negril. CK says, the government should keep numbers regarding their economy. It's easier today for people to work and make good money online. All you need is internet. Yeah, I agree with that. And I just like, it's just like, I'm constantly telling myself in my head that it's probably not as easy as I think. And I think more so though, it's more about like attitude, mindset, awareness, right? Attitude, mindset, awareness, specifically for young people, understanding the opportunity that we have today. Like, there is no other time in human history where it was easier to be a person who can work for themselves, be independent, and not beholden to some sort of gatekeeper to allow you to earn a living for yourself. Our parents, grandparents, great grandparents, they never had this opportunity, not even close. And so we need to begin to understand and appreciate that. And when I say we, I might be preaching to the choir here, but specifically young people, the opportunity is there. Don't tell me it's not impossible. It is possible. But again, I understand the mindset of a young person, the lack of discipline, the inability to see 5 and 10 years down the road. There's also, with incredible amounts of opportunity, unlike in an unprecedented way in history. Also, and this is just kind of bringing just understanding and context to that argument, I also understand there are distractions like there have never, ever been in history before. Like, never, ever have there been distractions, marketing, addiction to the scroll of the feed of social media, this video, that video, Netflix, this, all these things, and that comes with it. It's the light and the dark, the yin and the yang, that we got to understand that is also out there, that could very well be is what's drawing people back from taking advantage of any opportunities that are out there. However, awareness, just got to bring awareness to the situation and be aware, especially as young people, that those distractions are there, but also the opportunities are definitely there as well. Chad says this comment is underrated. There should be more transparency regarding data and statistics. Agreed. Chad says all Jamaicans need to be informed of the data. CK Bond says, Chad, the people should vote out this government and vote in Joseph Patterson. I think he should put Jamaica on the map. He would put Jamaica on the map. T says would need a U.S. bank account for payment most of the time. That's not true. That's not true. I know Jamaican YouTubers that have the Jamaican accounts here, and I can't speak to other industries, but I can speak to Jamaican YouTubers and them earning their money. I just don't know of other industries. I would also say companies like Fiverr, Upwork, being a freelancer, those are like the two biggest freelancing websites in the world. I know Jamaicans are on there. I go there for work and for help if I need. And these are mostly people in not like in the Far East, as a matter of fact, that I've been using there. But you don't need. There are people who are teaching, and we were talking about this in our meeting. There are people who are teaching English online, and you're not. Again, you can make U.S. money teaching English online with your phone, and nobody's asking for a college degree. There's some certifications that you got to get, but if this is something that you want to do and you want to earn money and you want to earn foreign money and foreign currency, you have the ability to do it. I mean, if internet is a problem, excuse me, if internet is a problem, I mean, I can't really speak to that. It's easy for me to say, like, specifically like in Kingston, like there are so many cafes that you can go and chill, buy an orange juice and stay there all day. Nobody's going to stop you. Go to Starbucks, buy a little tea and stay there all day on the internet. Nobody's going to stop you. I mean, I used to do that all the time in New York. I didn't have an office. I used to go into a coffee shop, Starbucks especially, buy a little coffee, buy this. And I support, of course, but I'm just saying for a young person that may not have all the money in the world, but does have a smartphone and who is focused and who wants to get an education and bring more value to themselves and say, go down this career or that career, I would say that would be my advice, to try and get internet if you don't have. So it says 100% agree. Captain Brown says proper family structure is worth more than gold. Absolutely. Miss Perfectly Imperfect says had to have the same conversation with a young girl. She thought it would be mature. It would mature her. Oh my God. Like crazy. So happy that you had these conversations. And I mean, maybe we need more like official mentorship programs, and those things are being just undervalued to like have these types of conversations with these young people because they just don't get it. And I think going back to my argument of distraction, we can also throw in their influence. And the same young man, oh my gosh, I hate to even bring this guy's name up. I never thought he'd come up on my YouTube, but I don't know how many people are aware of this guy, Andrew Tate, and just how dangerous his rhetoric is. He's in jail now in Romania, but he became extremely, extremely internet famous in the last 2 years, especially over COVID, about being very extremely misogynistic. And his whole messaging was about young men. I don't even want to say too much, but I would, at the end of the day, he's an extremely toxic person and had this ideology of what it is to be a man and what it is to be masculine and earn all this money. And he's just like the biggest charlatan in the world. Like you could see right through his BS. But again, being a young person and specifically a young, impressionable man that doesn't have direction in his life, and you see this guy with his Bugattis, you see him with all these beautiful women traveling the world on private jets, on jet skis, on yachts, da 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 da. You're thinking, I want to be like that dude. That dude is the man. That dude is a real top G, as in his own words, right? And so a young, and in my mind, like I'm seeing Andrew Tate, and I am I'm initially concerned about like young American boys are being influenced, because that's kind of all I'm seeing in comments and stuff like that. And I totally forgot about our young, impressionable Jamaican men, Jamaican boys here. And I didn't realize that our young Jamaican men and boys are watching and being influenced by this guy. And this same young man came to me and started preaching Andrew Tate rhetoric to me. And I was like, dude, this is before he got arrested, before he went to Romania and is in jail and everything like that. I was like, dude, what are you talking about? It's like, this guy is a snake oil salesman. You cannot listen to a word he says. And I was like, I don't know how he makes his money, but he's not making the money the way he says he's making his money. And it's impossible. And I tried to be like very, not objective, that's not the right word, but balanced in my argument, because you got to keep in mind, like understand the psychology, that this young man looked at Andrew Tate as a hero. And he put him on this pedestal. And I don't know how many months, years that he's been watching him, how much content he's consumed of his, but he's been highly influenced and brainwashed by this guy. So to kind of take down a hero of somebody like that and slash it in half, then you might actually get him to like dig his heels in, and he might be like, Throck doesn't know what he's talking about. He's BSing. He's just hating on Andrew Tate. So I had to be very strategic in how I positioned my argument about why you shouldn't listen to this guy and why he's saying what he's saying. Whatever he's saying is BS. And it was just crazy to me. And again, I have to say, if this young man who, again, opened this whole story to, who I consider to be a morally right, good kid, just didn't have direction in his life, and if he's being influenced by Andrew Tate, what about the kids who are like on the edge, or maybe on the outskirts, and maybe they've already gone down a bad path and they might be going further down that path? And we got to think about what type of influence and how far that influence will go, and what these videos and these brainwashing tactics, how these are actually going to turn into action. And there's many documented actions of young kids who are like belittling women in high school and cursing them out, physically assaulting them, because this guy is telling him to. And he's influencing our young Jamaican men here, our young Jamaican boys. And so my point in saying all this is again, like, imagine this kid didn't have me as a mentor and somebody he could talk to. And hopefully I talked him off the ledge, but then two, he saw what I was saying wasn't BS, because now the guy's in jail, like multiple rape accusations, multiple like money fraud and human trafficking, all this craziness. And you could just know, and if any of us with like experience and we're over 35 years old. Like we've seen guys like this all the time, male or female. We've seen these guys all the time, so we can read past them and we can just kind of brush them off. And they come in all shapes and sizes over the years. But a young, impressionable 20, 21-year-old, they may listen and talk to them and may listen and do what they're saying because they don't necessarily have had the village upbringing, the community upbringing. They don't have mentors in their life, somebody that they could look up to in their community that's like, I want to be like that guy. I want to earn what he's earning. I want to go into the field that he's doing. He's successful. I want to be successful just like him. So they turn to these internet idiots, unfortunately. All right, let me keep going here. Miss Cole says, oh my God, right, Throp. T says, Chad, I know, I'm just pointing out it isn't that easy. Lots of Eastern Europeans getting low pay in tech because of it. Sure, I will say that. So with that, T, so like, yeah, we're not a tech country. Like we're in Jamaica. And I don't see why we can't be. Like, it's crazy that like there isn't a 20-year plan to make us like a Slovenia or Estonia, that their tech is like out of this world in Eastern Europe, or even a Romania, as a matter of fact. And Ukraine was a big one before the war that I know friends have worked with tech people over there for much lower wage than you would be paying in the US. And Jamaica, I feel like Jamaica can be that. Jamaica can, but the investment and the effort has to be put in towards that. And it's not something that's going to happen in 5 years, 10 years even. It has to be like a 20-year plan. And so, but there are other elements and other careers that you don't necessarily need to be a tech person or go to school for. One of them I always point to is video editing. The caveat with that, though, is like you do need a good computer, and that's going to be an investment. However, it's like once you could kind of get over that hurdle, I mean, a good editor could get paid, man, I would say anywhere between 40, and I know this is like a big gap, but anywhere between $40 and $80 an hour US. If you're working for one of these big companies, easily, like you can easily do that. Even if you were to start out like on a project basis, you know, and I know these big companies, like even in Hollywood, like they'll outsource like these, you won't get a whole project, but they'll outsource the color grading to you, or they'll outsource like just to make the first cut and you send it back. And there's like all these different elements of editing that you can be part of these huge productions. And I'm not saying it's easy to do and be a part of it. You obviously have to be very highly skilled to be working on these big productions, but you can even work for like, say, a Throp Media type company in the US that does projects for, say, Ford Motor Companies, and they're doing their commercials and they want to outsource certain aspects of the cuts, just like I said, and you get the job. And it's that sort of thing is possible. It may take a while for you to learn your skills to get to that point, but it's something to work towards. You know, there's, at the end of the day, there's no handouts here. And I don't think anybody here is asking for a handout, as a matter of fact. Troy Marie says, that's all they need sometimes is some guidance and a good role model. Awesome thought. Thank you. Miss Perfectly Imperfect says, thank God he asked you, because many of them would say he needs a pit need to prove himself a man. Yeah. Where they get this from, I have no idea. T says, there's a lot of cultural pushback if suggesting to wait. Captain Brown says he is more than likely groomed by his surroundings, especially if he didn't have two parents in the household. I think that's exactly what happened, Captain Brown. I think that's exactly what happened. Miss Cole says, y'all don't get me started on this topic because woosah, I've encouraged someone and they still did what they want. Yeah. Don Marie says, more foreigners will start businesses because our people are not taught to be entrepreneurs. But a good education, but get a good education so you can get a great job. Blooming Rose says, love Jamaica. Me too. Beyonce Hage says, the hardest part of making money online is discipline and motivation for sure. I struggle with that a lot. Yeah, it's a mindset. It's a mindset. So he says, Payoneer is how I transfer my PayPal funds to my Jamaican bank account in USD. The fees are a bit on the higher side, on the higher end, but it's just what has to be done. So Sahaj, Jamaican, lives and works here in Jamaica, and he has his business that is virtual, Jamaican, born and raised here. Sorry to give out all your business like that, but this is just using him as an example, just because I know of it, and you've kind of shared half your story already. Chad O'Malley says, the reasons custom is called customs is because they are accustomed to crushing the dreams of Jamaicans. Blue face smiley. Okay, thank you, Chad. Majority of them are asking for a degree, but there are some opportunities to offer without a degree for teaching online. Great, great. It's straight up a barrier to entry. Miss Perfectly Imperfect. Some people use their local library to upload videos. Then internet is slow. Gotcha. OMG, I hope they put Tate away. He has millions of followers. Yeah, that's why he's been banned. Like, he's been banned across like all social media platforms because of his very, very dangerous rhetoric. Shayna Love Coaching says, I like the term internet idiots. Fair enough. Shayna says, do the school systems highlight STEM or have STEM programs in Jamaica? Yes, they do. They do. We actually had a STEM. Sorry, getting dry throat here. We actually had a STEM a STEM, I don't know if you call it workshop in STEM retreat here in at Travelers through our nonprofit organization NEAT, and we partnered with UE and also the University of Texas, and it was a camp. Sorry, it was a summer camp, and we did that at last summer and also the summer before, and that's part of our ongoing program, our ongoing nonprofit program that we have, and it is very much a part of the curriculum in Jamaica, and we try to push that out as much as possible. Max and Relaxing says, I agree there is a strong need for mentorship with the upcoming generation. Yep. Yeah, definitely. Chad O'Malley says top G. Captain Brown says, I swear if the proper guidance doesn't start in the home, it's a recipe for disaster. Yeah. Deborah Cohen says coding is good. Yeah, I think coding is excellent. I would love for at some point to be able to just be able to like put like a program together where they're, a combination of coding or doing something creative. But maybe that's it. It's just kind of opening the eyes to young people like, man, this is possible. And maybe just giving them the opportunity to do that. Like I said, everybody can't be a doctor. Everybody can't be a lawyer. And that's what was pushed when I was growing up. Chad says, you have to be careful with the Tate case. However, they are actually holding him to look for evidence. This is allowed in Romanian law. Yeah, we'll see what happens. But there's a lot of evidence that has already come out against this guy being a human trafficker and the R word. I forgot, you can't say the R word on YouTube. We'll see what happens. Divert Freelance, Deborah Cohen says, Calibri says, is the price of electricity is deterrence to tech companies? I would assume so. And then also, especially when you compare, I don't even know if I could say this as a fact, but also when you look at the pool of say like engineers in Jamaica, software engineers specifically in Jamaica, it's not in abundance. It's not a great amount. From what I understand, Barbados is like a better hub for that. This is from what I understand. They have a better tech scene than Jamaica does. And so, but this is something that needs to be pushed by the country in order for that to even happen. And I think that this is kind of going back to my argument with education, and we can push that like crazy. And I think it should be pushed from a very young age, teaching kids to code. It should be a part of the curriculum in school. And I know like the resources for computers is hard, but that should be a direction for consideration, heavy consideration, actually. BIC says, at Throt Piece, I sent you an email in the message I mentioned above. Mentioned video editing. If it's the original, I saw your email, but I didn't read it. Somebody else sent me an email as well, and I didn't get to them. But I got your email. Don't worry, I will get back to you. Deborah Cohen says Fiverr is good for freelance work. Yep, I mentioned that. So Fiverr and Upwork, great resources for freelance work. You'd be surprised what you can find on there in terms of what people are looking for work to be done. He says there is a STEM program, but I don't know much about it. Yep. Scotty Beamer, good to see you. I got your email as well, Scotty. I was just talking about emails that I receive. Says thanks. Adrian Morris says, I joined late. What was the topic of conversation? We are talking about, I guess, young people and opportunities through the internet, essentially, is where we are. Skillshare. I would say, I don't know I think Skillshare is like $10 a month, but I don't even think you need Skillshare. YouTube. I mean, majority of what I learned about everything that you see here, why I'm even in front of you, sitting in front of this computer, why I need to buy this camera, this lens, this computer, this mic, all through YouTube. Even this mouse that I have, the K-Tron 2 keyboard that I have is like all YouTube. All like everything is YouTube. Most of like the stuff that you see in the back, like my equipment, the board that I have, like all of this is YouTube. The speakers, like the storage units I have for my data, everything here is YouTube. Everything I learned on YouTube. You can, I mean, I'm such an advocate for this platform. It's unbelievable, not only from a content creation perspective, but definitely from an educational perspective. And it's just the distractions, right? You have to be able to get past the distractions as a young person, and so that you be laser focused on something, on trying something to put yourself in a position of creating more value for yourself to bring to a company. So Skillshare is great. I never use them. I've paid for online courses as well. Those have been phenomenal. Those have been great. But most of my education and what I'm doing now is 100% YouTube. And I understand that like I'm a bit older, but and I have the discipline. But this is something that I did myself, through running, through understanding, and like having a focus and a goal of a long-term goal. And it's not like my point is, it's like these young people probably know how to do this stuff better than I do. And their aptitude is probably much higher than I am naturally than this, because they grew up in it. So, and I'm not saying it's easy, but I'm saying it's possible. Let's keep going here. Donna Marie says, is it possible for you to highlight more Jamaican entrepreneurs, such as contractors, plumbers, masons, etc., and other businesses that build infrastructure for countries? Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a good idea. I'm going to screenshot that. And Candice, if you're still there, I think that's a great suggestion by Donna Marie. Say says people underestimate the power of YouTube. Rochelle Campbell, YouTube University. Absolutely. Shayna Love Coaching says Thrive graduated from YouTube University. That's right. So hey, self-taught 3D animator right here. All learned through YouTube. I think that says a lot right there, right? I think that says a lot. I mean, Sahej, I'm going to see if I could show it to you. He actually made an intro for me. I want to see if I could bring it up. Really, really awesome intro. I think I think he emailed it to me. Man, I can't bring it up. I will show you eventually. Say, hey, if you can actually email that to me, I mean, not email it to me. Um, could you WhatsApp it to me, and I can share. I'd be more than happy to share it with everybody because I am not finding it right now. Let me see. Hold on. Let me try one more place. Oh, actually, I know where it is. Got it. Got it. Got it. But yeah, he created an intro for me, just like like just by himself, and he learned, like he said, he learned everything. Excuse me, everything through YouTube. I'm struggling here. Yeah, just text it to me if you can. I'm trying to find it. Hopefully, I can find it quickly. Yeah, I'm not. I'm struggling. We're gonna have to share it another time. I thought I saved it, but I did not. But it was really awesome. 3D opening for intro, and I mean, and he's a product of Jamaica, like born and raised, and like I was like, this is awesome. I was like, man, this is coming out of Jamaica, and he sat down and I know what that process is like to sit down for hours at a time and to try and learn a new skill, like day after day after day after day after day, and just trying to get a little better here, a little better there, and you believe in yourself, and you can get to a point where you can have a product that you can be proud of. And so yeah, I thought that was pretty cool that he did it. I didn't ask him for it, but oh, okay, I just found it. Thank God. Okay, all right, here we go. One sec, it's loading. I found it on the other source too. Okay, it's downloaded, and then I'll upload. Bear with me here, everyone. It'll be worth it. All right, it's coming. All right, let's pull down his. All right, he sent it through IG. That's why I can't find it. All right, but I got it. Don't worry. It's uploading. It's taking a second. Let me go up to the other comments. Maria Bernard says, "Internet is the future, but we can't forget blue collar jobs. How about teaching kids how to work with wood, become an electrician, and more?" Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I think there needs to be a more emphasis on that. Like, I don't know what you call those kind of jobs. Like I guess it's a technical job, right? So I remember seeing a news report that this gentleman was like his whole career, he was a seamstress, and his clientele were mainly making school uniforms, and he was having a very, very difficult time finding an apprentice to take over his job. And he's like, he probably has one more year in him and he's going to retire. He's like, what are all these kids and what are all their parents going to do? And that's another struggle that we have with like these types of jobs. Even farming, as we were talking about, and we released that video with Martin, is like it's hard to get young farmers to come into the industry. And I heard a lot of OG farmers say that before, that like the young people don't want to farm. But we are also seeing, like, we've seen some new reports of, at least on I think it was I think it was TVJ, talking about the specifically like young female farmers coming into the industry. And then we saw the video with Martin. I mean, I hope he inspired a lot of young people to get out there and to start farms, because we are lacking that that next generation in these types of business. And yeah, carpentry, I could tell you there's not enough carpenters. Jamaica is very, very excellent carpentry. That's one thing I love about here is it's like, especially in comparison, like being back home in New York, like I know I can get like anything done. Like, not, I should take that snap back, not like that, but I know the person who can get it done, but it takes some time. They're very good. They're very skilled, but because I don't know a carpenter here that isn't overworked. Every carpenter I know, it just has so much work, and that tells me that there is not enough carpenters here, at least in Negril. At least in Negril, there's not. It doesn't seem like there is enough carpenters, and I think that's a very important type of skill to bring to the table. And the demand is high. I don't know how long it takes to learn these skills. I'm sure you need to work under somebody. There's also a lot of DIY channels on YouTube that do exceptionally well that I personally know about. All right, keep going. CK says you can learn a lot from YouTube. Rochelle Campbell says that's what my circle calls it, YouTube University. That's right. That's right. Kathy Hayes says blessings chat. Drop in chat. Baltimore chiming in. Awesome. Good to see you. T says, I agree. The trades are important. Not everyone wants to sit at a desk. Agreed. Virtual design studio. Yes, that's a great suggestion to highlight skilled workmen that operate as business. Yeah, I think we should. Yeah, we can. That's a good person to kind of have on, maybe even a live stream. Please note that. Blooming Rose says, trucker here. Let's regulate the logistics industry in Jamaica and teach trucking as a skill. Definitely, especially with like all these new highways coming on board and being more, just Jamaica being more connected in general. I agree. I think that's a very, very, I know in the US, like that's a very, very high paid job over there. OBUK, hey Throp, thank you for this. I'm being inspired. Awesome. I'm happy to hear that. T says, I can't even navigate through IG. I don't have the patience. Fair enough. Karen Gray, yes, the trades are so important. Everyone needs them. My dad started as a carpenter in Jamaica and earned a very good living in Canada. Awesome. And like I said, carpentry, I can't see, unless you really suck at being a carpenter, I can't see you going out of business. Like the business is there. There's no doubt. There's no doubt about it. T says there's a lot of good tradespeople in Jamaica, but some need help with the business aspect of it. Yeah, I can see that. I can definitely see that, because I think and I think, a good way to mitigate against that is to kind of get a good partner, right? Who has a business mind, but you have the creative skill set. But, some people don't want to split, maybe a little bit too greedy. That's also probably part of the equation as well. But that's a talk for another day. Mr. Info says they are called skilled trade careers. That's right, skilled trade careers. Faye Shepard says trade school of Seaford Town in Westmoreland. And then there's also from technical. T says, I recently learned about Source, a permaculture farm in St. Thomas. I don't know what that is. Am I saying a word wrong? Like giggle. Chad O'Malley says, we need to automate and modify the farming process. There is a lot of automation in farming. Maybe not here, but I know in farming in different places, there's a lot of automation. CK Bond says young people don't want to farm, but they like to eat the food, right? Mr. Info, people with the skills trades often leave to the States for bigger money. There's big money here. I think there's good money here. Where I have some shelves coming in, man, that's big money that I'm paying for that. Because the wood is very expensive, has become very, very expensive. And then also the labor, he has to pay for his team and everything like that. And I understand that. So got to get it done. Chad O'Malley says the donkey back thing isn't going to work. I'm not sure what that means, but I think that has something to do with labor. Yvette King says building with bamboo is also a skill. Yes, I've seen that in other parts of the world as well. Mr. River says 4 years of apprenticeship is needed to be an electrician. Really? Wow. We have some, actually, they're not. A few weeks ago, we had some schoolers here that were working under our maintenance guys here at the hotel. So, start young. Candice, thank you for writing it down. T says the Source Farm also builds sustainable homes approved for NHT. Awesome. Permaculture is sustainable, no negative impact on the environment. Gotcha. Thank you for that, T. Faye Shepherd says needed a directory of local professionals. That's something I'm not considering putting together. We're going to be putting together of like people that I would say that I've worked with that I can co-sign on for sure. Because trust me, it takes a lot of trial and error with some of these plumbers, carpenters. I got my shirt taken off my back with many carpenters. Like, you pay for something, you get half of it, and you don't get the other half, kind of thing. Even some of the woodwork here, it's just like, it's not done. It's not done. I'm having another carpenter coming here and do it. The other guy, like, he just madness. Same thing with plumbers doing just bad, shoddy work, just agreeing on something and not coming through with their word. And so, like, in my mind, it's like, I've gone through all this, and I'm not going to like shame or shun those people that I work with, but the people that I have worked with, that I continue to work with and do well with, I'm going to continue to send business that way. And I feel like if you're coming to Negril and you're going to do business here and you're going to build and construct and invest, don't go through the same headaches that I've gone through, right? And then I've also like maybe talk to some other hoteliers and other business people. Like, do you have somebody that you can trust that can do this type of work that we can put on this list or this directory of trusted local professionals? Shayna Love Coaching says, if you haven't already, please hit the like button. Thank you. Rockman says customer service training. Yep, I think that's very, very important, especially as a business owner. I think that's very important. And then, like, if you're like a young entrepreneur, that is the importance of customer service, because I also consider a carpenter who comes 3 months late with a project, that's not good customer service, And then also customer service in the service industry, in the hospitality industry, is also very, very important. CK Bond, Throp, I know what you mean when you're talking about trade people in Jamaica. Yep, trust me. Chad says the donkey back thing in terms of farming I see. Gotcha. The Jamaican youth think of farming. They think of a laborious process with little tools and backbending work on small plots of land. We have cars, yes, but the process is not what it should be for an island that is supposed to be independent. Agreed. CK Bond says, Throp, it will take the whole day when you deal with tradesmen in Jamaica, and they know they are draining you, right? Yeah, it can be tough out here. Like, no lie. But again, once you find like your guy or gal that does this specific thing good, hold on to them because it's hard to find good people out here. And it took many years of trial and error for me to have the Rolodex that I have. Calibri says carpenter, like electrician and plumber, is seeing a shift to certified rather than learn from my dad. I gotcha. This is due to insurance industry requirements, but certification is certainly attainable. Definitely. And then also, it's just kind of good to have a standard building code across everything, right? So, I mean, hate to bring this up, but like, when you look at like what happened in Turkey or even in Haiti with the earthquakes, and you look at like, and it's just, a lot of it is earthquake's going to do what an earthquake is going to do, right? But when you look at like how they put their buildings together and the code, like whether they're following like whatever code, maybe they don't have a code. I don't know. But I know specifically, I remember like when I was talking to like construction workers here who were looking at, we were talking about it, and they said they were like looking at the video in Haiti as it's like, they were talking about the lack of steel and rebar, and they were just kind of building concrete concrete only buildings, and who can speak to the integrity of the concrete that they were using. And then you combine that with there not being steel and rebar in there. So I think having code in place is important, especially like electricity. Like you don't want to mess with that. Many house fires in Jamaica, very, very sadly, like you've heard of like many tragic stories of kids dying in fires, families dying in fires. It's because of just like, just shoddy electricity work that was done on the house that was just kind of rigged up by a man that knows something, right? OBE UK says, wow, with this info, I can move my plumbing business to Jamaica. For sure. A good plumber is always needed. Especially like with, I would say, the amount of new construction that is coming on, that is on already in play right now. It's like there are opportunities abound, I would say. He says, tell me about it. I'm waiting a year for custom curtain rod. There you go. CK Bond says, Throp, they have an earthquake in Japan and their buildings stay up. Yeah, there's some next level engineering. I remember like, I don't even want to try to attempt to explain what they're doing. But yeah, it's crazy how they built their buildings. All right, let me show you Sahaj's intro. I hope the music plays, but let's see what we got here. Hello, Throp family, and welcome back to another video podcast episode. If this is your first time. Pretty cool, huh? And again, did that all here. I'm going to play it one more time so everybody can see. So this is Sahaj, born and raised, grew up here in Jamaica, still lives here now. Like he said, he learned everything that he knows about 3D modeling on YouTube. And he sent me his other stuff. His other stuff is way better than this, but I thought that, no disrespect, but he just put this together like very quickly just to show me what he can do. And I thought this is like really, really awesome. And I really appreciate his effort on this. And a matter of fact, if you guys want to hit him up for any 3D or creative work, let me know. I will put you in touch with him. You can shoot me an email, throp@thropmedia.com. And very, very, very skilled young man. And I'll show you one more time. And this is not even at full quality, but you can get a good understanding of it for us. Hello, Throp family, and welcome back to another video podcast episode. If this is your first time. Yeah, awesome job. So yeah, hit him. If you're interested in any of his work and doing 3D work, maybe for your company or your business, he's open for business. Like he says, he set up all his accounts and everything down here. And to me, it's just like, this is an example, of like self-taught, self-learned person, didn't pay for anything, any courses or anything, didn't go to school for this. He learned by himself, and he's able to do spectacular work. He has some, I'm not going to spoil it, but he has some like amazing plans. We had a conversation the other day about like what he wants to do with his life and where he wants to take his business and everything like that. And I applaud him and I support him on what he's doing. And I'm just like so proud, like, yo, this dude is Jamaican, born here, raised here, and he's representing Jamaica like in an amazing way. So yeah, you got the IG promo. Yeah, hit him up. Is this your IG name as well, Beyond Sahaj? If it is, like, yeah, shoot him a follow. Really good, really, and like super professional, eager, ambitious, and I support dudes like this 100% in any way that I can, and I'm sure we're going to work together at some point in the future. All right. I think we're going to wrap it up here. I can't believe it's 2 hours flew by like that. We have a bunch more articles, but we went down a different path, which I'm cool with. I thought this was a great discussion. And I like these Thursdays. I like these Thursdays. There's kind of no pressure to do anything. Not that Sunday's even pressure, but could do whatever, take this however you want and talk about whatever we want. So yeah, you got it, Sage. You got it, Sage. It's nice chatting with you. And so yeah, just as a reminder, like we're gonna be pushing this to some version of this to Patreon and to channel members, and we're trying to figure out how and what it's gonna be like. But we do want to continue and to also expand what we are doing with the channel. And if there is, to me, if there are people out there who want to support, and we want to give you an opportunity to do so, but also to really give back that value. We're thinking like, could it be these short Thursday live streams, or could it be a different version of it? But in April, and I keep saying April, we're going to start doing that, and we'll let everybody know as we get closer and closer to that date. Looking like April 6th kind of thing is we're going to start that off. But this is another great Thursday live stream. I really enjoyed this. Time really flew. Thank you all for joining me here, and we're going to be back on Sunday. We got a great ThropX video coming out on Saturday. It is the Young Entrepreneurs panel with Matthew Wallace and Emma Watson. And Matthew, if you haven't seen, I actually had them both on the podcast, but if you haven't seen already, Matthew is a restaurateur, and he's also one of the co-founders of Scotch Boys, which is a Jamaican spice company, hot sauce company, I should say, excuse me. And Emma Watson, she is the founder and CEO of South Coast Villas, and she has these beautiful villas that she rents out on the South Coast and actually all over Jamaica now. And they talk about where they came from, where they are now, and their plans for expansion in the future. And it's like always great to hear from young people, and you can see the ambition and you can see how things are growing. And so we're super proud to have them at ThropX 2022, and happy to be sharing with everybody on the channel, the panel that they were on. So thank you again for this great Thursday live stream. I will see you on Sunday, and look out for the video on Saturday with Emma and Matthew. Have a good night, everybody. Peace. I was supposed to black out after that and it didn't, but bye.